All right, I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting of the Tiverton Town Council Monday, April 7th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Before roll call, Madam Clerk, would you kindly swear in soon-to-be and pending Councilor Burk?
Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Michael S. Burk,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Rhode Island,
and of the state of Rhode Island,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the town of Tiverton,
and ordinances of the town of Tiverton,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties as town council
the duties as
Member.
town council member
for the town of Tiverton.
for the town of
So
Tiverton.
help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
We're just going to pause a moment while Mr. Burke gathers his things. Sorry, Councilor Burke.
That's okay.
You were Mr. Burke 37 seconds ago.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Madam Clerk.
Councilor Committo.
Present.
Councilor Burk.
Present.
Councilor Janick.
Present.
Councilor deMedeiros. Present. Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Councilor Paull.
Present.
Councilor Perry.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Now, without objection, I'd like to move forward items 8A, B, and C.
So moved.
Oh, if there's no objection, we'll
No
just
objection.
take them up. Okay. All right, so first on the agenda, if there's no objection, we can just do it, is Recreation Chair Gilfillen, recognition and award of the winner and the runner-up of the Tiverton 2025 Parking Pass Design Contest. Mr. Gilfillen.
All right.
It is a school night. We had to do this first.
I appreciate the council humoring my my request on this. So, first, good evening, everyone. My name is Stu Gilfillen. I'm the chair of the Recreation Commission, and I'd like to begin by thanking the town council for providing us with this opportunity to make the special announcement tonight. I'd also like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Tiverton Public Schools, and specifically to teacher Brittany Wood, whose dedication and enthusiasm to make this contest possible has allowed us to continue it over the years. This actually marks the 4th year that we've done this parking pass contest, and I can honestly say it's one of my favorite roles and responsibilities for our commission. The process is always a joy. We invite students from each of our elementary schools to submit their creative designs, and from those submissions, we get 6 finalists, 2 from each school, who are selected by the teachers. These finalists are then put to a community vote where residents select the designs that will adorn both our resident and non-resident parking passes each year. I can't stress enough how impressive these young artists are. Each year, I'm genuinely awed by the talent displayed in these submissions, and the voting is always remarkably close. This year was no different. At this time, I'd like to recognize our winners individually, beginning with our second place finisher, Van McDonough. Van, nice job. Your design captured the spirit of Tiverton beautifully and will be featured on all non-resident passes for 25. Congratulations. There is a letter in there recognizing your achievement, and probably more importantly to you, there's a gift certificate to the Moose Cafe. Next, I'd like to recognize our contest winner, and I really hope I got her last name right, Lola Marcaruso. Is she here? Lola, your artwork struck out among the many exceptional submissions and was chosen by our community to represent Tiverton on our resident parking passes this coming year. Congratulations on your well-deserved win. Thank you to both for sharing your remarkable talent with us, and thank you to all the other young artists who submitted their work. Your creativity continues to make Tiverton a more vibrant and beautiful community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gilfillen, and congratulations to the winners. All right, next item on the agenda, Councilor Edwards, discussion and possible vote to appoint Patrick W. Jones as town administrator.
Contract.
Do you want to, should I do them both at the same time? Nope, okay. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to appoint Patrick Jones as the town administrator.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made in second. Any discussion? Looking at you, Councilor Committo. All right, hearing none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda, Councilor Edwards, discussion and possible vote to ratify a 3-year contract and fiscal impact statement for the town administrator. Do I have a motion to ratify the contract?
Motion to ratify.
Motion
Second.
made, seconded. Any discussion? Councilor?
Yes, as I think we all can notice, I think we see some increases here. But I think the increases that we have here are well justified to bring in a professional, as you know, with Mr. Jones as our administrator. I think it's well justified. The rest of the contract looks fantastic. I just had one question about expense reimbursement. Basically, is there a limit on that, or is it
Which section are we looking at?
14?
Yes, that's 14.
It was 5,000?
That was the educational stuff, just the, I guess it's,
Thought I saw them.
your expense reimbursement, if you go anywhere, obviously you need to be reimbursed whatever comes out of your pocket, but is there a limit to that, or is it just?
It would be up to the council whether or not to approve it or not. So if you
Okay.
thought it was over, if you thought it was being overly generous or you know, overly extravagant, I should say, you don't have to approve it, so.
All right.
So,
Motel 6
and
instead of the
by the
high.
way, I don't think he's ever gonna be that extravagant.
It was, I had the same provision in my current, or my former contract as police chief, and it's my understanding and how I interpret it is that I have a $5,000 limit for all professional development, all expenses, all training, and I don't submit anything to the council, that the limit is the $5,000. That's it. That's my interpretation, and that's how I will execute it.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? I just have one point to Councilor Committo's piece about obviously this being an increase. It's my view that, unlike Robert Kraft, that when Tom Brady's in the building, you do not let him walk out. So with that, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? None opposed. Congratulations. Thank you. You need to swear him in now, Madam Clerk? All right.
If, I would prefer to have my wife present so I can continue to stay married, so if we could do that at another time. So, I mean, she is present.
All right.
Okay, now we can't.
Raise your right hand. I, Patrick W. Jones,
I, Patrick W. Jones,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Rhode
and
Island,
of the state of Rhode Island,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the town of Tiverton,
and ordinances of the town of Tiverton,
and will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties as town
the
administrator
duties of town administrator
for the town of
for
Tiverton.
the town of Tiverton.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All right, more importantly, thank you to Mrs. Jones for allowing us to appoint. All right, next item on the agenda is consent agenda. So we have acknowledgement of the resignation of Councilor Blake B. Hayden effective March 26, 2025. Approval of town council minutes, March 10th, 2025, special workshop. Councilor Burk abstains absent / not present because he was not a counselor. Same goes for March 10th, 2025, regular meeting. Councilor Burk abstains, not present. March 18th, 2025, special meeting. Councilor Burk abstains, not present. March 18th, 2025, executive session. Councilor Burk abstains, not present. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from boards, committees, and commissions. Zoning Board of Review 5, Dog Park Committee 1, Cemetery Commission 1, Parade Committee 2, Recreation and Beaches Commission 3, Open Space and Land Preservation Commission 1. Acknowledge receipt of correspondence, Town of Portsmouth School Transportation Resolution, Town of Burrowville Resolution in opposition of Rhode Island 2025 gun control legislation, Town of Burrowville in support of amending Rhode Island General Law 21.1-1 and 1621.1-2 to require non-public / nonprofit schools to share transportation costs. Town of Charleston, resolution in support of House 5957 related to low and moderate income housing. Town of North Smithfield, in support of amending Rhode Island General Law 21.1-1 and 16-21.1-2 to require non-public / nonprofit schools to share in transportation costs. Harbor Commission Chair Cox, letter of approval of assent for dock, including 2 hoists. Would any councilors like to remove any items from the consent agenda? All right, like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? None opposed. All right, next item of business is open public comment. We have, first up is Jay Runcie on the topic of AWB, which I'm unfamiliar with that acronym, but Mr. Runcie, if you're here. Okay, makes sense. I should have known. Your choice. That microphone's a little squirrely, though.
Fixed it.
Mr. Runcie.
Okay, so I am in opposition of this assault weapons ban. It does not just go after rifles, which is what everybody thinks an assault weapon is. It goes after shotguns, so everybody that has a shotgun with a thread-in choke, your guns are now going to be illegal. All the turkey hunters that have pistol grips on their shotguns will no longer be able to use their guns. This bill just goes on and on and on. I could stand up here for an hour and go over every item that people have called out on these particular firearms. They're not weapons, they're firearms, right? So this ban is so broad that it will be eliminating kids' .22s. The smallest rifles that they make, it's going to be eliminating all of that stuff, because it takes bits and pieces from every gun that's out there on the market. It's a total blanket for everything. This is going to be 90% of my business that I won't be able to pay my bills. This will absolutely ruin me. Okay, I've got a $1.8 million note on this place that me and my wife took every penny we've ever made and put into this business. And if I go under, I've got nothing. All my retirement's gone, everything. My full-time employees will have to find new jobs. Just from my business alone, $85,000 in taxes will be paid to the state, just from mine. Let's add in all the other, especially the high-end places. We got D&L, $500,000 just from their tax revenue. The Preserve down in South Kingstown, they sell shotguns that cost $200,000 a piece. There's a lot of money down there, right? There's all the open spaces in Rhode Island, all the bike trails, all the hiking trails, all the preservation, all the hunting. This is all these monies are supplied by this industry. All the money that DEM gets, it's all paid for by this industry. And we want to throw a blanket over the whole thing and just wipe it off the face of the Constitution, our Rhode Island Constitution, the federal Constitution. Like, this is so unfair. I can't believe that there aren't more people here. I'm worked up over this. I don't.
I can tell.
Yeah, this will ruin me, right? And it will make half of these people in here felons because nobody's going to register anything and nobody's going to turn in anything. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee it.
Thank you. Just one quick, just because I forgot, we got your name. What's the address for the record?
777 Main Road, Secaucet
you, sir.
River Outfitters.
All right, next up is Brian Brietsky. Did I say that correctly? Britsky. All right, and just name and address for the record, sir. And this is also in opposition to the assault weapons ban legislation.
Good evening, Brian Britsky, resident, 690 Brayton Road. I prepared a statement, if that's okay.
By all means.
Okay. I'd like to thank the council for allowing me to exercise my First Amendment rights to help in trying to protect my Second Amendment rights. I support gun safety. I believe most people do. I do not believe weapons of war have a place in our civilian community. The firearms listed on all three of these pieces of legislation introduced and referred to as the quote-unquote assault weapons ban are certainly not weapons of war as they are being described. This legislation is a complete and utter overreach by an unchecked supermajority in power in the state. Rhode Island historically comes in as one of, if not the lowest, states with regards to gun deaths. The sponsors of these bills, some of which are criminal defense attorneys, only seem to want to add more restraint to law-abiding citizens as opposed to supporting law enforcement and getting the people who commit crimes with guns off the street. The framing of this so-called assault weapons ban is misleading and deceitful. It will have no effect on those who commit crimes in this state. As I understand it, criminals don't care about the law. The firearms Rhode Islanders own are not weapons of war. You will not find them on the battlefield. These bills will only affect law-abiding citizens who own firearms. I respectfully ask that you pass a resolution, as other towns in the state have done and are doing, opposing the proposed statewide ban on certain firearms categorized as assault weapons. Thank you for the council's time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put it way up to the zoning.
Hang on, we're gonna, give us 1 second.
Put it to like 8, you don't get feedback at 8.
Good? Okay. Is that better? Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda, or next up is Sanford Mantell regarding affordable housing. Mr. Mantell? And just address and name for the record, sir.
Sanford Mantell, Budway, Tiverton, Rhode Island. Just a brief comment. Last time when I made my comments, I loosely interpreted comments to mean I could grill the councilors. I guess you can't do that, so I won't be doing that this evening.
Thank you,
anyway, yeah, it was a mistake. Thank you, Mr. Perry, for letting me know that. The reason I'm here, I have been getting very interested in the affordable housing law. So what I did, I emailed Councilor Edwards to follow up on the meetings that we held last meeting and the meeting before, where you had 2 reps and 2 senators here discussing the issues with the bill, the weaknesses of the bill. So I followed up with him and to try and find out the bill numbers and when they were introduced. He complimented me, I think, on my perseverance, but anyway, he he said, okay, here are the bills. The bills were introduced, I guess they needed some tweaking, so they were finally introduced on April 4th. House Bills 6176 to 85. The bills on the surface do help. They take us in the right direction. They deal with how the town can implement some of the changes that are needed. A couple of things they talked about, a couple of bills. One of the bills, which is really an improvement, it says parking spaces, the number of parking spaces per housing unit should be increased. That's one of the bills introduced. Another one, the big one, is lot density. That's a big one for housing, very important. Also another one, I'm not gonna list them all, but I printed them out. People renting or buying have to be either Rhode Island residents or employed in Rhode Island. I think that was a requirement. That's one of the bills. But anyway, I'm not gonna go through all of them. But the issue with these bills, they're good bills, but they only deal with the effects of the bill, not the cause. The cause is how we inventory, and I'll bring this up, what is 10%, what our goal of 10%. Right now, changes are needed for what housing units have to be included. That's the bill that was not introduced, but to me, that's the most important of the bills that are needed. Right now, the affordable housing law, because I wrote to, I emailed Rhode Island Housing, had them send me a listing of the units in Tiverton that are inventoried. Pretty sad. There are a lot of items, units that should be included that aren't included, and what happened was the inventory they sent me was effective as of the middle of 2022. That was coincidental to the upgrading of the affordable housing law in June of 22. That's when it stopped. And I put together a listing, but I'll go through that in a second. What's happening now, I've been looking at this for the past couple of weeks. The 10% goal in Tiverton is unattainable. The meeting, 2 meetings ago, the chairman of the planning board, Patricia Hilton, indicated it will be impossible. Mathematically, yes, but I did a little calculation, which I'll be glad to show you. It's possible, but you're going to be really, really alarmed at how we get there. Right now, this 10% goal is the keystone to the bill. Keystone, if you understand what a keystone is, you remove that keystone, the bill collapses. That's the major impediment to us getting to 10%. Right now, what I did, just to give you an example, and I'm done, I did a little calculation. To get to 10%, we have to assume right now there are 7,482 housing units in Tiverton. Our 10% right now at 4.26, we have 319. And I've got the printout of what that is. To get to 10% housing, which means all bets are off. Once you get to that point, the law doesn't apply anymore. We would have to add, and again, we'd have to keep the 7,482 stable. That means no other building activity, only affordable housing units, okay? You would have to add 2,900 additional units. Picture that. 2,900 additional units to get to 10%, assuming we hold steady the inventory as it is. That means the development up on Fish Road and Sousa Road, you would need 10 more like that to get to 10%. Totally ridiculous. The bill, and again, I'll get to it, and again, it was no coincidence, but under General Business P, Councilor Edwards, he must have been a clairvoyant because he must have somehow read my mind. That resolution has to be voted on positively, but that's only step one. Step two is our representative has to present it, has to write it up, and it has to be presented. That's the only way we get to 10%.
And just point of clarification.
Yep.
Mr. Mantell. So the reason why P is on there is because that bill has already been submitted, so.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know. I'm just.
No. That was actually, I think that was the first one that was put
Well,
in.
I missed that.
Yeah.
I only got the last 10. Sorry,
worries.
I missed that. But again, that's the keystone.
Yeah, so that bill has already been
Good.
submitted.
What's the bill? Oh, no question. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I can, it's right in there. It's House Bill 6163, I think.
Okay, all right. That's the only question I'll ask.
I'll tell you right there.
No,
Yeah, House Bill 6163.
Yep. Yeah, that's the keystone. All the other bills, 61, 76 to 85, are helpful, but that is the big one that has to be implemented. Without that, you're looking at 2,900 additional units to get to 10%. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Leslie Simonson regarding the gun legislation proposal. And if you would mind, just name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Leslie Stewart Simonson from 78 Reed Street, just up the road here in Tiverton. I'm fortunate to be a fourth-generation Tiverton person. That's no credit to me, but to my ancestors who made it possible. And part of my growing up here in this town, was to learn the business end of normal everyday tools, hammers, screwdrivers, shotguns, fishing rods, all sorts of things that helped put food on the table and shelter in place for families. And when I got to be of age to obtain a driver's license, before I was allowed to take the public lessons, to get the public license, I had to pass my father's examination on how to change a flat tire, how to change a broken fan belt, because we had fan belts in those days when I was that young, and how to deal with machinery that might not behave the way it was intended to behave, and not be a sitting duck for having been broken down on the side of the road and not know how to get out of the mess that I was in. So I come from that kind of context in this kind of town. I know the difference legally and descriptively between an assault weapon and a hunting rifle. And having spent 10 years of my career in Vermont, since have been generously remunerated for doing weddings of rural families who couldn't afford even a thank you gift card to, a local restaurant, in venison from their freezer so that I could make a venison stew. So hunters with legal firearms putting food on the table, or even recreational gallery shooting, teaching their children how to do all of this safely. I have no opposition to anyone doing anything like that. But I am in favor of this bill about gun control legislation getting to the point where it can actually be debated, it can be researched, the public can have hearings like we are having. It can be amended, it can be tweaked, it can be fine-tuned. It can suit the people of Rhode Island who are law-abiding citizens. But anything that brings further discussion about all of this to the table, I'm in favor of. Any opposition that takes it off the table, where it is no longer discussable but is continued to be a fait accompli, I have to be opposed to. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ken Tremblay. I think this is North Tiverton Fire District.
Yeah, Ken Tremblay, 139 Bridgeth Road, Portsmouth, Tiverton. I signed up before I realized that this was happening on Thursday, so perhaps I should save my breath till Thursday.
Fine by me. Thank you, sir. Maureen Morrow, resolution on gun legislation, I believe. Name and address for the record, Maureen.
Hi, Maureen Morrow, 47 Peaceful Way. I want to actually follow up on a point that Mrs. Samuelson made. That was, I thought, so well put. But let me just start by saying I sent each of you an email. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. There were also attachments, but I'm going to basically say that. So I am speaking to you tonight in opposition to the council approving Resolution 2025-0014. This resolution was prepared by an outside group active in opposing any and all forms of gun safety legislation. This year, in the Rhode Island General Assembly, there are several pieces of gun legislation ranging from House Bill 5436, which is the ban on assault weapons, to House Bill 5654, which is concealed carry legislation, which would enshrine the present Rhode Island law of local police departments issuing concealed carry permits, rather than having reciprocity with other states' concealed carry permits. So there's there's legislation that's been introduced to go with the reciprocity, and there's legislation, this HB 5654, that wants to keep the present system. And just remember, other states sometimes just have online concealed carry permits. You fill something out online, you get that CC. Whereas in Rhode Island, chiefs of police and police departments get to know their applicant and issue those concealed carry. So I'm pointing this out to you because if this council votes to uphold this resolution, it's worded very broadly to include not just the assault weapon ban, but bills, and I'm quoting, bills regulating and restricting the rights afforded to citizens of the state of Rhode Island through the Second Amendment to the Constitution, to the U.S. Constitution, most notably including, but not limited to, HB 5436 and Senate Bill 359, the companion bill over in the Senate for assault weapon. So it's written in this resolution, all of those would be included. So if you uphold this and say, yes, we're going to vote for this resolution, you are basically ending discussion, just like our previous speaker mentioned, on things like who issues concealed carry permits, because that's a piece of legislation that's up there. And if you just look at the title of this resolution, it's in opposition to Rhode Island 2025 gun control legislation. Really broad topic. All right. At a recent hearing of the House Judiciary Committee, Jerome Larkin, who's well known to this town, he's now the director of the Rhode Island Department of Public Health, testified in support of the assault weapon ban, citing public health statistics and noting that 9 states, in addition to the District of Columbia, have laws that ban the sale, manufacture, and transfer of assault weapons. These include our neighbors, Connecticut and Massachusetts. He frames gun violence as a public health issue, which should ring true for anybody in this room that follows the news and has followed what has happened over the last several decades when mass shootings in movie theaters, schools, at parades, and at concerts have taken the lives of many Americans. During the period of 1966 to July 2023, assault weapons were overrepresented in mass shootings compared to other forms of gun violence, according to Dr. Larkin's testimony. In conclusion, I feel that there is really no role for our nonpartisan Tiverton Town Council to vote in support of this broad resolution. And to vote yes, to me, would be kind of a knee-jerk reaction to a very sweeping resolution. I have included the 2 pieces of testimony, and I just, for the audience to know, one is a piece from Jerome Larkin, who is the director of the Department of Public Health, and the second is from, I think his name is something Moynihan, it's in here, but he is the representative of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, who are very much in support of keeping the concealed carry law the way it is now and not have reciprocity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last but not least, Peter Moniz regarding the Semiquincentennial Commission. Mr. Moniz.
I'll sit down.
Sure. Name and address for the record, sir.
Peter Moniz, 83 Captain Circle. I'd like to say hi to all and each member of the council, and I appreciate the few minutes that I have to give the town citizens the opportunity to become aware of the, I am the chairperson of that committee, so I'm speaking for, basically for them and myself. So I'll start again a little bit here. I appreciate the few minutes to give to the town citizens the opportunity to become aware of the Semiquincentennial celebration that will take place in the near future and will be a highlight of July 4th, 2026. The local newspapers' publications have been limited in their availability to print letters to the editor. Thus, I would like to take this opportunity to get out the information about the 250 Semiquincentennial Commission. So I started off the letter with to the editors. So I'm just addressing to the whole town now. Recently, the Tiverton Town Council established the Semiquincentennial Commission, the 250th Commission. And what is it about? What will we be doing for the town of Tiverton? Well, it's about the upcoming 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the birth of our nation, the United States of America. So now is the time to prepare for that historical happening. This birthday party will take planning, coordination, and organization by the members of that commission. As citizens of the town, the commission wishes you to join in and be part of this celebration. Please submit any ideas you have for an event recalling our nation's historical background and may relate to the statewide or local historical occurrences for consideration. Please submit your ideas for an event by mailing or dropping them off to the 250th Commission in care of the town clerk's office by April 22nd. Then get ready to be part of the celebration. Participate, join in, and appreciate our great nation. So, and one more thing, 2 points. We do have a webpage now. It's under the boards and commissions, link off the town council's webpage, or the town's webpage. And there is also an email address, 250th, Tiverton, Rhode Island.gov. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, next item on the agenda is Board of Licensing, discussion and possible vote, subject to meeting all legal requirements. First up, we have John Skrupiak requesting approval of a private detective license renewal. Is Mr. Skrupiak present? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion from the council. This is a long-standing renewal.
Mr. President, motion to approve the private detective renewal,
Subject to meeting all legal requirements.
subject to meeting all legal requirements.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none.
Does this happen every year?
Yes.
I feel like he was just here, no?
No,
Okay.
time flies,
All right.
and you're having fun, I guess.
So, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Congratulations to Mr. Skrupiak, wherever he may be. Next item is Javon Powell, Fanet Thong DBA Soul Juice LLC, 1701 Stafford Road, requesting approval of a new victualling license. Is the applicant present? All right, come on up.
I'm curious to know where that is.
It's Soul Juice.
Next to Dunkin' Donuts.
So it's near the dance studio?
What is it? What is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
See you in the morning.
It's the old dance studio.
Hello. All right, do we have any questions for the applicant, since this is a new license in members of the council?
I just wanted to know where he was.
Okay. All right.
Quick
Councilor
question.
Burke.
What is it, what's your products?
So smoothies, cold pressed juices, smoothie bowls like acai, stuff like that, and immunity boost shots, like ginger shots, stuff like that. That's it.
Great.
Wonderful. Do I have a motion from the council to approve the new victualling license for Javon Powell / Fanat Thong? Did I say that correctly?
Panat.
Panat, all right, my apologies. DBA Soul Juice LLC, 1701 Stafford Road.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
and that is subject to meeting all legal requirements?
Subject to meeting all legal requirements.
Okay, any further discussion from the council? Councilor Janick.
When do you think you will open?
As soon as you guys approve it.
So tonight?
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, Councilor Burke.
A little bit of opportunity for you. What are your hours?
So right now,
So right now we know that we're gonna be off Mondays and Tuesdays. So wasn't it Mondays and Tuesdays?
Yeah, Monday
We're
and
not gonna be
Tuesday.
open,
Mhm.
and then we'll be open for the rest of the week, and we're aiming for probably around like 8 to 4, maybe 9 to 5. We haven't really
Okay.
we're not solid on that yet,
Mm-hmm.
but those are the hours. Definitely Mondays and Tuesdays will be off.
All right, so Wednesday to Sunday, in case you're listening at home, that's when you can go down there.
Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through, yeah.
No,
Wednesday.
close Monday and
Mondays and
Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
All right, I'm just going by what's on here, that's why it's.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Congratulations.
Go open.
Okay, last up is Brian Sadler, DBA Gray's Ice Cream, 15 East Road, requesting approval of a new victualling license and tobacco license.
Good evening.
Mr. Sadler.
Yes, Brian Sadler, Scotch Road, Bristol, Rhode Island.
Okay, do we have any questions for the applicant from the council? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the victualling and tobacco license subject to meeting all legal requirements?
So moved.
Motion been made, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? All right, congratulations. Thank you.
Johnson,
Yeah.
can we move up I, 8I, so we can get everybody out of here?
Let's just do these two quick appointments, then we'll pull that out of order, if that's all right. All right, so first up is the Semiquincentennial Commission. We have a need for one council member. It was me. Councilor Hayden took it over. Councilor Burk was the genesis of this commission. I think we should force him back into it. Councilor Burk, do you accept?
What a way to do that to me.
I knew it.
Sure.
Okay.
That was easy.
Semiquincentennial. All right, next up is the liaisons for boards and commissions. Councilor Burke, Councilor Hayden had quite a few of these that he took on. Are there any that jump out to you?
Yeah, so I'm happy to, where I had this down in my thoughts.
Just to clarify, I thought I was on recreation, but I'm not showing on here.
Yeah, I thought you were too, because you were on it with me before too.
You're not on there, Dave.
Should be.
So if you'd like, Mr. Burke, perhaps you, or Councilor Burke, perhaps you could just send an email to myself and the clerk for which ones you'd like to be on, and then we can distribute the lists to the
Sure, I
council.
will say, I'd like to be on with Councilor Committo at the Harbor Commission and back on the EDC with Councilor Paull to start with.
Perfect.
I do want to say that I'm also on the Stonebridge Fire District Water Department. It just says Councilor Committo.
Threw you off?
No,
Somebody threw me off, but I was there.
at the time, you only wanted North Tiverton.
No, I took both. No, I took both.
Okay.
Yeah, I took both.
And again, that's perfectly fine.
And then also, Councilor Hayden was on the zoning board of review with Councilor Janick. I would join her on that.
All right.
Can I just,
Oh, I do have one, I'm sorry.
Councilor Burke.
Sorry, open space.
Open space, okay.
can I just say,
Councilor Janick.
I know when we selected the boards and commissions we would be on, I think that some of us did not know when they actually met, and so we do have boards and commissions that have representatives but who've not attended, and who've not been in touch with the chairs. So the chairs are reaching out to other councilors to come to their meetings. So we may want to just kind of relook, and if there's a board or commission that you're assigned to and you're not attending, and, you know, it doesn't work in your schedule, maybe we need to move things around a little bit.
Thank you, Councilor Janick. That is a fair point, but just to clarify, we're not members of these boards. We are the liaisons to these boards, so it should be, I mean, perhaps the clerk could disseminate to the various chairs who the respective liaisons are, because it's not something where we need to be present at every single meeting, but they do need to know who to reach out to.
I understand, but they don't know who to reach out to,
So
so.
the clerk will correct that for us.
Donna, how about the Arts Commission? He was on there, and there's no one there.
Sounds like you're volunteering.
I think I have a lot. They don't? Well, put me on it, and when they get a quorum, I'll give it to someone else. No, okay. Yeah, put me on it.
All right. Wonderful. So now, without objection, I'd like to take item 8I out of order. No objections? Okay. So I'll move that up. All right, Councilor Committo.
You want to be here for this?
Thank you. So, last council meeting, I asked this resolution to be drawn up. I did get some phone calls on the legislation that's going upstate right now. I think it's a poorly written bill. I don't think it really takes into consideration all the good gun owners that are out there. I think they're lump summing all these different styles of guns, handguns, shotguns, all into this assault weapon ban, and I don't think the bill that is written right now properly describes what they want to do. I mean, I'm for gun control, but, I mean, we have about, I believe, 160,000 registered gun owners in the state of Rhode Island, and just to take all their rights away, and, especially we have a lot of hunters, we have a lot of land to hunt, we have a lot of hunters in Tiverton, and, I mean, to call every single gun an assault rifle or a semi-automatic, more so than an assault rifles have been banned since the 30s. And basically what we're doing is calling every other weapon an assault weapon, and that's just not the case. I think all these gentlemen that are here, I think they'd be the first ones to talk about gun safety and maybe putting in the right legislation, but this just isn't in my eyes. So I would hope I could get some support on sending this resolution up.
Would you like to make a motion then?
I would like to make a motion
To-
on sending the letter in opposition of Rhode Island gun control.
You gotta read the whole packet. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Counselor. So, Counselor, just to
Resolution
clarify.
2020.
Perfect.
You got it.
2025 0014.
Yes.
Do we have a second for Mr. Committo?
I'll second.
Okay, now discussion. Councilor Janick.
When if we do approve this, can we send a letter with it as to why we are opposing this? Because we don't like the way it's written, can we do that? Or are we just opposing? I mean, I'm glad you said it the way you did, Craig, because I spent a lot of time this weekend reading and trying to understand and not stepping on people's Second Amendment rights and trying to understand the different kinds of guns. And when I think assault weapons, I think of like Sandy Hook, and it frightens me. But when I think of people who are legal gun owners, who are hunting, who are, doing their practice at gun ranges, I certainly don't want to take away their rights. And I do believe in something I did read that criminals are not going to register their guns, and they're going to have whatever type of guns out there. So I don't want to take people's rights away, but I want people to be safe. So if this is written that it's not doing that, then if we can oppose it, but say why we're opposed of the language that's written.
I mean, I'm all for that too. So just, a little bit on that. So a little bit of research. I think back in 2020 or 2022, I think the number of people that were killed in Rhode Island with guns was like somewhere around 19, could have been 20. And that wasn't because of gun owners, that was because of criminals. So I don't think there's a massive issue in Rhode Island saying that, guns are out of control, people are dying every day. That's not saying it couldn't happen, not saying a school shooting couldn't happen, but I just think we're taking too many rights away from the Second Amendment to the people who, follow the laws. And a little more research, it also shows that I don't think all the police stations or our local police stations are even ready to handle something like this if this gets passed, because, like you heard, I don't think they're gonna turn their guns in, but if they're forced to and they become criminals, there's a $10,000 fine and up to 10 years in prison because you're a safe gun owner. I just don't think that's right. And I don't think the police stations are ready to handle if somebody did decide to turn all these weapons in. Where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna put them? How are they gonna store them? How are they gonna be accountable for them? The way this law is written, I believe you can't even hand them down to your children, some people have guns that are, I don't know, historical, very old. If you have an historical gun with a bayonet on the wall from World War, whatever it is, that's inoperable, you're gonna be a felon because you can't have it hanging on your wall. So it's just a lot. I don't think the bill is written correctly. It's just a lot there, and I'm just not supportive of it. But maybe if we have something to saying why we don't support it, that could help too. But
It just seems like it's like a 0 to 100, like
It is.
there's nothing in between.
right,
It's just.
I agree with you, and that's the way it's written.
Any further discussion? Councilor Burk.
Thank you, Council President. I see both sides, and I certainly haven't done it for years, but certainly was a hunter when I was growing up in Pennsylvania, and it was part and parcel of our culture. However, I do believe that this resolution is overly broad. I would not support this resolution, especially with all these whereases. I think they're meaningless to the intent. I would also prefer to see specific alternative language to those pieces of legislation for us to think about whether or not we would agree with those. So to get to your point, Councilor Committo, what would be, and I'm not asking you to answer this, but what would be acceptable in terms of prohibiting certain firearms? And however, I would disagree with Ms. Morrow's statement that it's not our role as a nonpartisan council to take positions on issues. Nonpartisan simply means when you go to the ballot box, you don't see us as Democrats or Republicans or whatever. That's not in there. That's what nonpartisan means. It doesn't mean that a council can't take a position on certain things. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. I will just add that I agree with the sentiments, and I did read the bill, specifically House 5436, which defines the assault weapons. It is very clearly written by somebody who does not own or understand firearms. And for that reason, coupled with the fact that the town of Tiverton happens to have two businesses that are in this market, I will be voting in favor of that. So without any further discussion, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. So the resolution will be sent up.
You'll co-send it.
We just voted for it.
Okay, next item on the agenda.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda is Recreation Chair Gilfillen, Councilor deMedeiros, discussion and possible vote to approve funding, $60,000 for the 2025 Tiverton Celebrates Fireworks and Block Party.
Point of order for a minute. Mike thinks he...
I voted, so everybody else voted to support this resolution.
Correct.
I'm the only person who voted yes.
Yes.
We voted to support the opposition.
Yes.
Support the opposition.
Right. So you're opposing the gun control legislation?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Okay, that's, yeah.
All right,
But you're
that's not
supporting the
correct.
resolution? Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I just...
All right. Chair Gilfillen, let's talk about fireworks.
Somehow my name's on this.
You like fireworks too?
So we are requesting funds to hold the block party and fireworks again, as we've done for the last couple of years. We are asking for a slight increase, and the rationale behind that is from the past few years, First Student's been very kind and provided us with a discounted rate. We have asked for more buses this year, and so the cost is actually going up relative to that, as are the cost of the fireworks. Some of that is just cost of business, some of that actually is tariffs, just to be clear. So there are other areas where we've looked to, as part of the event, actually reduce costs. I'd like to thank Officer LeDuc for helping get the climbing wall for this year, for approved for the event, for free. And we did bring in the Red Sox last year. I think we're going to look to switch it up this year and do a different event that's sort of in the same ballpark price-wise. So similar event structure. A few other things that I will note, because we were notified by residents, rightfully so, that there were some improvements they'd like to see for traffic and parking. We've had several meetings with the Tiverton Police Department who have been incredibly helpful in outlining a plan. First and foremost, putting up no parking signs pretty much between, I think it's Main Street down to, was it Nanaquacket? To allow for easier access through. I know there were concerns about too much parking on either side of the roads. So that was one thing we looked at. We did notify people directly by walking around with handouts 2 years ago. Last year we used a sign right on the corner of Highland and Main, figuring it was a catch-all, but just to make sure that we're not missing anybody, we will go back to doing it the way we had before. And we will look to also increase the signage that we'll have in various places as well. On top of that, looking to also increase the number of buses from 5 to 8.
Which is a great idea.
Which will allow for more of them. And then the other piece to that is the bus route in the past had been set so that it was going up, was it Middle Road? remember where it?
Middle Ave?
Middle Ave. And so what we've looked to do is, because Main Road is closed as part of the DOT permit, we would have it go Main Road to Hillside, Hillside to Narragansett, right next to where the Cumberland Farms is, and then come back out. So the road would be actually a waiting area for people. It would create an opportunity for easier loading. And each of the buses would be assigned to a parking area. So the last thing that I will also note is we did a trash sweep last year. There were several councilors that helped us with that, and they're volunteers, and thank you. But we'll look to extend that with more volunteers into the neighborhoods to make sure that we're doing a full trash sweep. So we recognize there's always room for opportunity for improvement with events, but we feel like we've addressed a lot of hopefully the concerns that have come up, and we're looking for approval to be able to run this event again.
Councilor Paull.
Motion to approve the funding of $60,000 for the 2025 Tiverton Celebrates Fireworks and Block Party.
I will second it for comment.
All right. Discussion.
And I have a comment.
Oh, Councilor Perry.
Yes. Stu, I appreciate everything that goes on, but coming from my background and what I see on a daily basis, and what's happened in this town this year with closing of schools and laying off people, I would like you to look at the firework display this year, and maybe it's not necessary. $46,000 to see something explode in the sky, to me, is a lot of money. And I know my councilors might not agree with me, but, you know, coming where I come from, in the world I live in, outside of councilors, this chamber, $46,000 could be spent in a lot of different other ways, just to see, you know, a fireworks display. We can see fireworks displays anywhere else. You have them in Bristol, they have them in Fall River, they have them all over.
John,
Mr. President,
could we just get a breakdown of where the funds are coming from?
Is it if I just?
It used to come from the power
There is a
plant. I don't think they're sponsoring
So-
it this year, correct?
Councilor deMedeiros.
Are they still sponsoring it this year?
Well, that's what I want to talk about. I called the treasurer today, but she didn't answer me. I'm not sure what we have in that account.
All right, because if it's
About
coming, if it's going to be
about
sponsored from
76,000,
somebody,
I believe.
that's fine.
So we do have 76,000. That's what I have written.
I believe that was the number that I
That
was
she
quoted when
gave
we
us.
checked before about
So
37.
that's where it came from. When we initially used the power plant money is because they asked us to do civic things that would bring the community together. We thought that this was a great one. We also used it for a softball field. We also used it for some senior center. All I know is I've participated and volunteered at this for 2 years now. The community loves it. It brings the community together. After it's done, no matter where I am, people are saying what a wonderful event it was. I do suggest, and me and Stu talked about it, that next year we start some kind of fundraising for this. Like, we go to the different businesses, ask if they would like to give some, maybe have a fundraiser, dance, or do something to do it, because definitely that money will be gone. But there's also there's also 100,000 that the casino was supposed to give us for civic, for the tax treaty we did. So it's like 50 and 50, right?
I don't think I think it was 20, I think it was 10 or 15,000 a year for 2 years. It wasn't awful. I don't think it was 100,000, but
Well, that's what Denise said, it was 50 and 50, but maybe I'm misunderstanding it.
there was
maybe-
definitely something that they asked
Yeah,
for the tax.
it
treaty,
hasn't come in yet. I found that out, it
Okay.
hasn't come in.
We can find that out.
As of last month. But that would also be for maybe something else, but that also could be used. So, but we do have 76 left in there, and I think it's a great idea. And let me tell you, just to see everyone having such a good time, the kids love it, and it really brings the community together.
Any further discussion?
I don't want to see it go
Councilor
away. You know, the wall climbing and all that other stuff is great stuff. Getting the community together, great stuff. You know, I started the parade about 6 years ago with Mrs. Levesque, and I forgot who else was on that committee.
Yeah, Tiverton
It's all
Videos.
great stuff, but I just can't see us, you know, blowing up $40,000 on Sure. And there are other things that we could be doing with money.
Yeah, so the funds that we've used have been restricted, I think, to this type of event. I'll use that very broadly. Going forward, I don't disagree with you. I think if this was a situation where those funds could have been applied to something outside of that area, yeah, I totally agree. And I also think you bring up a very good point that going forward, it's something that as a community we're going to have to look at. How are we accounting for recreational activities that we want to do? Because all the fundraising right now is done by volunteers.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Councilor Janick.
I just would like to say, we did get an email, all of the councilors got, from a person in the neighborhood, and she did outline some different issues from last year. You did an excellent job responding to each item and all the discussion that had happened from the time that we received that actually last year with your committee, and all of the different changes that are going in, so that's really good. I'll just let you know that today, as I drove down Highland, they were spraying the green grass, so we'll have to be careful of people's front lawns.
Well, and I live on Highland, so I understand. But no, I appreciated the feedback, and it was something that we referenced multiple times. And on all of the communication we put out, my personal contact info is on there. So if people have concerns, I'm very happy to connect with them.
I also want to compliment you on that also. That was a great letter you sent back. Thank you.
Mr. Solicitor Marcello.
Thank you. I'm just looking up the agreement. It was $25,000 per year to the town of Tiverton for fiscal year 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028, and 2029. So it's $25,000 per year.
Per year.
So for 5 years.
5
years.
I do have one follow-up question
Including the year that was, yeah, so.
for Councilor Janick. I have no clue what email you're referencing, so I don't think I was included. Could you forward that to me?
I can.
I think you went to the whole council.
Councilor Committo.
I do agree with Mr. Perry, and as long as these funds, I think there are a lot of other things in the town that we need to do also. I think we are in a little crisis with the schools also. My understanding is they may be coming to look for some more money for some changes or things they want to fix. Right now, I'm not sure it's made it to us yet, but if these funds are definitely from, like Councilor deMedeiros is saying, from the casino and from the power plant.
The power plant, it's just.
Then I'm all for it. And I just have one other question on the $500 for the fire detail. I'm not really sure what that is in reference to on an outside function.
I could go back and look, but I think that's what we were as recreation invoiced for the support services for last year.
Yeah, I don't know what that covers, so I'd like to find out what that is.
Potentially the other time, because they were also out on the barge, so there's an
Oh,
itemized.
Danny was out in the barge.
Yeah.
That might be what some of that is.
Yeah, okay.
I don't
It
know.
just, that's fine. I just think it's a lot for, if you gotta check the fireworks. Usually the fire department's down there, so I don't know why there's a detail charge if they're there, part of the event.
Yeah.
They're gonna be there watching too, so I'm not exactly sure what the detail is
I
covering.
think it's the fire marshal on the barge.
I think, yeah, he was on the barge. I don't know if it went to the detail instead. I think it was specific for that, but I
Okay.
could find the details for you.
No big deal, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Committo. And just to clarify, Councilor Paull pulled the email up. I was the sole member who was not included on that email.
Actually, you are on it.
No, it went to JP Edwards, not to me.
Well,
Oh, it was meant to go to you.
Well, it didn't,
I'll
although
share it with you, John, okay?
given the source, I'm not surprised it didn't come to me. I have one final comment before we vote.
sir.
So, Chair, I did receive some complaints about the location of the food trucks last year. Would it be possible to locate those in the actual beach parking lot as opposed to directly in front of a operating business?
I think it would be difficult based on the way the event is set up to accommodate both the recreational activities. What we can look to do is see if we can shift the recreational activities further into the parking lot and then move the trucks further down. And I'm aware of exactly where that communication was coming from, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate.
Perfect.
So.
Thank you. And I just want to make sure that we're going to be working with that business like we always have.
We do, and we put up dedicated signs for their parking as well.
Thank you.
And Stu checks with them periodically. They're outside when they come
And
outside.
full disclosure, have not communicated with them pending the approval of the event as of yet, but.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Just one last thing.
Councilor Paull.
On the food truck thing, and I know we dealt with this last year, I would be in agreement to somehow, if we could get them off Main Road, that was actually one of the things that held up moving traffic again.
Right, yeah.
The trucks had to cool down, and it took forever.
Yeah, so one of the things with the new layout should be that there won't be any interaction between where the trucks are and where the buses are. But I also agree that at the end of it, they want to get out of there as quickly as possible. So we'll look at if we can shift them further down to make it easier on the back end.
Those ballasts that prevent vehicle traffic to or at least onto the abutment, those are movable. So if there's anything over there that could be.
How about on the other side?
Well, that's the thing, potentially sliding, we could move it to the other side of that road and,
Because there's no one across the street.
because we'd had a couple of smaller, I think the police department had set up there and there were a few other smaller vendors. So we can move them to make less of an impact on the business.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Don't go anywhere. Next item is Recreation Chair Gilfillen, discussion and possible vote to renew the recreation banner policy. This was brought to our attention because it technically expired. So, given that it's the same thing as last year with no alterations, do I have a motion to approve the banner policy?
I'll make a motion to renew the recreation banner policy with no sunset at the discretion of recreation.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor? So this will go
Thank you very
in
much.
perpetuity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's housekeeping.
All right, next item on the agenda, Councilor Paull, discussion and possible vote to reallocate unspent funds of $8,860 for painting and relining basketball courts at Bulgarmarsh Park Recreation Area from power plant funds allocated on 8/13/2024 under item 9D at the time. Councilor Paull, do you have a motion?
Sure, so I would like to make a motion to approve the unspent funds, or not to exceed unspent funds of $8,860 of the previously allocated funds for painting and relining the Bulgarmarsh basketball courts.
So moved.
Seconded by Councilor Perry. Discussion, Councilor Burk.
Just a clarification, since I wasn't here. So you're asking for the funds to go towards painting and relining?
Correct.
Okay.
So the estimate we had at the time for the 4 new backboards and hoops, which have still given us rave reviews compared to what was there. It's like throwing a basketball at a stone wall. I had asked for 15,000. The council allocated 20. But those courts themselves are so worn down. There's a few cracks that need to be repaired. So essentially, we've been in contact with the company that lines. It's not 100% that we would be going to them, because we do have another company coming in for Town Farm.
Yeah.
But essentially, not to exceed. That would give those courts the new fresh paint that will last for years, and new lines, and that area will be up to
Yeah,
par.
I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thanks.
Okay, Councilor Committo.
And that'll cover the whole cost? You don't have a bid yet?
Well, there's a couple different options. One is that we paint the court, as in volunteers, or with the help of DPW. Because the company themselves will paint
We
it.
really
line-
need straight lines.
Well, that's how the company will do the lines, we could do the paint. So that would be the cheapest option. We got some volunteers, one of them sitting over there.
All right, so any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, 6-0, none opposed. All right, discussion and possible vote to schedule and approve funding to advertise a public hearing on the proposed amendments to the Code of Ordinance Section 14-103, renewal of existing permits, to amend the date from December 15th to January 3rd to be consistent with the mooring service provider, and amend the notification process. So this is just to advertise public hearing. All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion to go to public hearing for these fees.
So moved.
Motion's been made, and do I have a second? Seconded by Councilor Paull. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, none opposed. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible vote to schedule and approve funding to advertise a public hearing on fees, fines, resolution regarding the mooring fees. Again, this is a public hearing. Do I have a motion to schedule?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Councilor Burke. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Did you have discussion,
No,
Councilor
all in
Perry?
favor.
Oh, okay.
He lends his support to the motion.
Yeah, he's hiding out. All right, motion passes, none opposed. Next item on the agenda, Councilor Janick, discussion and possible vote to approve Council Resolution 2025-0015 in support of the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns 2025 legislative priorities.
So this is the resolution to support the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, mainly because they adopt policies that support 39 distinct communities, avoiding that one-size-fits-all solution, especially in regard to land use, business licensing, and other important policy areas. They look at reflecting community needs, including land use, business operations, and supporting greater flexibility for local government to innovate, improve efficiency, and save tax dollars. So I just wanted to
Like
show
to
our
make a motion there,
support.
Counselor?
I would like to make a motion to
Second.
support, to support the resolution in support of Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns 2025 legislative priorities, resolution number 2025-0015.
Okay, motion been made, seconded by Councilor deMedeiros. Any discussion? I have one bit of discussion. I would like to motion to amend the resolution to extract all of the League of Cities and Towns specifications on housing, land use, and zoning. The League of Cities and Towns is openly supporting these housing bills, which are very detrimental to our community, and I think that we should carve them out entirely and support the rest.
I'm fine with that.
So that would be page 5 of their backup. They give it nice flowery words here, but if you read the actual support, they've been in support of all of the speaker's legislation on housing.
I will modify.
Nice catch.
That's fine with me.
Wonderful.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion? Mr. Solicitor, would you be able to, do you need some language to put in there?
So we're just gonna exclude any other housing bills?
Correct.
Page 5. We'll write that in there, thank you.
All right, so, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you for bringing that forward, Councilor Janick. Next item on the agenda
Amendment.
is Town Administrator discussion and possible vote to implement a quote-unquote Tiverton Trash Talk, Have Your Say, a 3-month survey campaign that includes strategic public relations, media relations, and content creation tailored to effectively reach stakeholder groups. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. So Let's Talk Trash is the campaign that I'd like to start with your permission from. This is a PR firm that the police department has used for a number of years. They're very reliable and professional. As you can see in your backup, what they've done is give you an a la carte menu of what we want to do. So what I'm asking the council is basically for a budget. I do not think that we need all of these, but definitely I would highly suggest that we spend at least the $1,499 for the community survey. They initially recommended a 6-month survey, which I believe is a little excessive. I would recommend a 90-day or 3-month survey to put out information to the community to get some positive and negative feedback before the council makes a final decision about the future of trash in Tiverton.
All right, do I have a motion to, I guess, approve and direct the administrator to execute this strategy with a budget of $1,499?
Where will that come from?
Before we finish that motion, though, that was your suggestion, just that one. But there are other pieces that you might want a budget for?
That's correct.
So not to exceed, yeah. That's what I was
So
thinking.
a not to exceed would be preferable.
Right, but $1,499.
That is I would say that's at a minimum.
Right.
But if there's anything else, I mean, the website, obviously, we can integrate with our website. Social media, video reels, I'm pretty good at doing that stuff myself. Logo design. The website, that kind of goes into the 2,000. If you were to give me, let's call it 2,500, I think that would be more than sufficient.
And it would come out of?
Council contingency.
Council contingency, yeah. So I would make that motion then not to exceed 2,500,
With the source of the funds is council contingency.
with the source of the funds being council contingency.
Okay, motion been made,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Burk.
Second.
All right, discussion, Councilor Burk.
So, my one concern with the survey, the way I read this, is it's all electronic, which may not reach some of the residents that we really want to reach, some of the older residents or just residents who are not computer savvy may not have access to it easily. So if we can look at that with them about how to conduct one in that manner, you know.
But it does say.
So my plan would to be, they're going to construct a QR code. So, and we can make those flyers available both online, through the social media, share them with the school department, share them with all the platforms, make maybe even cards made up with the QR code or with a website, at the library, at the senior center, all the municipal buildings.
So my now deceased father-in-law had a smartphone, but he was not a smart user of the phone. He would never have been able to do that.
Well, I
So,
think,
Councilor Committo.
I agree with you. It might be difficult to reach some of these people, but like, family members should be able to help them get where they need to do and get their survey and get listened to. I think, I mean, this is going to reach so many people as opposed to doing nothing. I think it's a positive thing. And the senior center might be able to help us out with some stuff. Maybe they could borrow our nice kiosk back there and we could relocate that for a few days and have it right there in front of them. There's a lot of things. Now, we talked about doing maybe a second survey on something else, so this price just includes this one survey.
That is just for trash, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I agree with, I mean, we're going to try to be innovative as possible. As most of you know with community surveys, unfortunately, the rate is very low on return, but at least it's something. I mean, we're going to try and collect as much data as we possibly can, but even if it's like an index card or a ballot box that we can put in specific locations that people can just drop comments.
So just one other follow-up question with a survey like this. They're used in the sport world a lot. Is it one vote and you're done? Or can we just sit there and keep voting or put your opinion in on the survey hundreds of times? Do you know how this operates, how this works?
So what my plan is, now that I have a budget and your permission to proceed forward, is before it goes live, I'd like to give it to all of you and to see if you have any comments about what we're facing as far as how in-depth it can be. And like with most things, the more money we spend, the more in-depth it can be.
Right.
But I think there are definitely some issues that there should be a free jot box for people to make comments. I mean, because most surveys, you're talking anywhere between 3 to 5, at maximum 7 to 10 points of interest, but there should also be an open forum where people can just openly comment.
Okay, Councilor Burke.
As a follow-up to that, how will we make sure that it's limited to people who live in Tiverton? Because I don't care what Portsmouth people say. And I know sometimes people don't like to put their names and stuff in there, but if there's a way to have them do that, but cloak it from everybody, just so somebody at the PR firm perhaps can say, okay, yep, this guy lives in Tiverton, nope, this one lives in Newport, so.
Right.
Right.
I think
But to cloak it.
what I mean, nothing's perfect, sir. So I think the best thing that we can do is if we wanted to limit it to Tiverton residents only, give your address. So, or put in Tiverton. And then when we get that data, it gets aggregate. So if someone doesn't, if they say Fall River or it's NA, we're just going to want to look and check on the people that's Tiverton.
Further discussion, Councilor Janick, deMedeiros, I know you guys had your hands up.
Well,
Councilor Janick.
so we could still count if people, because I think that, I know we don't get a lot of surveys back, but I think if people have something to say, and there is definitely a subgroup of people who want to comment on this, who've already commented, so we want to make sure that we count on their surveys. So if they write it on a handwritten survey, does that get counted in?
We can input it.
We can manually
Yes.
put it in?
Yes, ma'am.
That was my question.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, I think it's important, I mean, to Councilor Burke's point, that we want to focus on Tiverton because that's the greatest impact. But that's not to say that someone who either lived in Tiverton, lives in Fall River, and they have a good idea that we're missing, we want to take that idea in with the understanding that they might not be directly impacted by the change. But if the whole purpose in this, as you all know, is to let the community have a voice in this potential change and look for something that we possibly are missing in the trash program moving forward.
And John, just one more thing. I mean, we're waiting for Mega. They were supposed to be dropping some containers off, large and small. They still haven't done that. It's been...
We've also been in a relative holding pattern with the guy in the chair who now has no excuses.
They did reach out, sir. So it was more of a to the president's point, once, now that I'm officially official, now we can get caught up on some things. But the gentleman who spoke in front of you in the last council meeting, there is a pending email, so that's no fault of Mega. It's mine.
Very good.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? None opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion and possible vote to approve Narragansett Electric / Verizon Joint Pole Petition to replace and relocate pole 14 feet south to property line between 282 and 270 Riverside Drive. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Councilor Paull, anything you want to say?
Motion, this is to approve, correct?
Motion to approve, sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
So for discussion purposes, because we talked about this at the agenda meeting, I believe the director was not necessarily in support of. I did physically go down there myself and looked at it, and this pole moving 14 feet south actually removes the pole from being in line of sight with a deck and kind of puts it in line with trees that are already blocking another deck. So there's no effect really on moving it.
Is there any more information on this? Like, I mean, this is just saying moving a pole. Why are we moving it?
It's the power company would like to move it.
Okay,
It has to
it's
be-
them?
Mr. President?
Yes, Madam Clerk.
I did talk to the engineer who produced this, and he said that they need to replace the pole.
Just
The
needs to
pole-
be replaced.
The pole it's
Oh.
end of life.
The pole's
and
bad.
And it needs to be replaced. So they would like to replace the pole, and their normal procedure is to move it to between the property lines.
Yeah, that's where they normally go,
Rather than in
yeah.
front of one property or the other, to move it at the property line between the two properties. So I just wanted to make you aware that this,
I just thought there was another reason besides.
No.
It sounded like there was a
Well, it has,
people disputing about looking at a pole.
No, this is
or
not a
something.
dispute. This is coming directly from
Great.
the power company. Any further discussion?
No.
Now that, Mr. Director, do you have anything to add to this discussion?
Yes, thank you. I respectfully disagree with Councilor Paull, but also there's a discrepancy between the 14 feet and 30 feet if you actually look at where the pole is and where the property line is, according to GIS. My point would simply be that input should be received from 270 Riverside Drive and 282 Riverside Drive and see if it makes a difference to them. Because it's not really something the town would want to do, that if it does not have to be placed in the line of sight of somebody's view to the bay or to the river, that they should have input on that, because Rhode Island Energy is neutral on whether it goes back where it is or on the property line.
Yeah. So we're looking at Street View here from Google, and I appreciate the input, thank you. It does look like where they want to move it is lined up with this weird trapezoidal property, but there's also a whole bank of trees directly behind it, so it should not obstruct anybody's view. But,
Yep.
yeah, it helps one. It looks like it helps one, and it's not impacting the other at all.
Yep. DPW is tasked with giving input on it. I think 270 Riverside and 282 Riverside should be contacted for their input, but that's DPW's point of view. I don't make the decision, the council does.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion?
it's right here, yeah.
Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed. All right, next item on the agenda is Town Clerk. Discussion and possible vote to award contract for agenda and minutes management software with funding from Fund Number 262. Madam Clerk, if you'd like to provide input, I know where you stand on this.
now that you have your Surface Pros, we'd like to expand upon that, to have the agendas and packets available online. And this software will help us get there. It has a portal for us to access and get the information in. It has a board portal so that you can actually go through the agenda, mock it up, make any comments on it, right in the document online using your Surface Pro. It has unlimited users. We'll roll it out for the town council. It can be used by any board or commission who wants to sign up for this. They will provide training for boards and commissions, so train you guys to access it. And this will eliminate, from a selfish perspective, we get a lot of the agenda items through email, and we can lose agenda items in email. So this will make it so that councilors who are requesting agenda items can put it right into this software, and it will go through an approval process for each agenda. And then if it's a resident who needs an agenda item, we can put it in there for them. But at least we'll also have the backup at the time you'll load the information into the system. So it'll make it a lot easier to get out the packet, because it'll be all automatic. And meeting minutes, there's a minutes portion of this, that way we can actually take notes during the meeting into this software. So we're
Madam
hoping
Clerk.
that it will save us time in producing the minutes as well.
Could you also expand on, because obviously there's a cost to this, where we're locating the funds for it from?
From the,
Just, it's coming out of your budget already,
It's-
money you've already got.
it's Fund 262.
Wonderful.
I just
right.
need the council's approval to move forward with it.
All right, so before discussion, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion to
Second.
approve by Councilor deMedeiros, seconded by Councilor Janick. Discussion, Councilor Janick.
So what is the cost of this?
Right on page 15. It's initial for the first year, which is $12,775, and then year 2 plus is $7,875.
Correct.
Because I can appreciate the number of hours that you spend putting together these packets and volumes of papers and printing and stapling, so I can appreciate all of that. Would cut out a lot of that for you. Somewhere in here, I did read that you could tag things too. So would we have the ability to go back into old minutes and tag it for like budget or whatever the topic was?
There is ways you can move items forward and include in another agenda. I'm not sure if you can move it back from a meeting minute into the agenda portion of it, but the original agenda item would be in the agenda section. So I'm sure, we can copy it and move it forward.
I know that a lot of times we're on something and I'm thinking, well, we talked about this, when did we talk about it? So I try going through old agendas and then looking for the notes I took in the piles, the many piles I have in my house. But I thought I had read that you could tag them so that if it, was tagged budget or whatever the topic was, we could look back, because it will store minutes going from now forward.
They also will take the minutes we have today in Clerk base and put it into their database, and it's all searchable. So we're not losing anything. It's carrying over what we have. We have from 2005 roughly to current in Clerk base for meeting minutes. It brings that forward, including backup.
So you can search it by topic?
Like you can search Clerk base today. This has a
I never
search
go on
function.
that for minutes. Okay.
I'm sure there's probably some AI thing that'll be integrated at some point. Any further discussion? Councilor Committo?
Yeah, so, I mean, are we gonna eliminate, the plan is to eliminate all our nice packets?
Correct, it's to eliminate paper.
I love the packet.
You can
But-
print
but-
it from home. You can print it.
Send it to Staples.
But you can make your comments on,
So the
Your
comments that'll
Service
be
Pro.
made, that we made, obviously they'll be private to us on our own notes, I assume.
correct.
And the second thing is, could you just explain to me a little bit on how the agenda actually gets out? Sometimes I get phone calls on agenda items, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what the agenda is yet. And I know it goes to the state kind of first, or before they get printed out, or how does that work? I'm not sure how it works.
So we get a lot of stuff for the agenda. We have an agenda meeting with the council president and vice president, the administrator, the solicitor, and then they work on what goes on the agenda. I make the changes to the manual copy and then send it out again to say, okay, is it okay to go? And then I get updates. And then on Thursday at around 3:30, we post it to SOS to be in line with the OMA requirements. And then we send out either the agenda that night or the next day.
With the backup.
And then the backup, we usually get the backup all packaged together on Friday.
So that's kind of why they, like, as soon as it hits that site, it's public, and that's why?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he's
And-
talking about the agenda. People will call and say, I don't know about this. What's this about? But we have not received the agenda, the actual agenda.
Madam Clerk, there's an email database still, correct? If you go on, if you request an agenda,
Yes.
so there's an email database also for residents,
Secretary of State's office.
through the SOS.
You can
okay.
do
Yeah, I
SOS,
get it.
and we
So
also
that's-
have,
It
an
goes out that way also.
we also have an email sign-up that we send it out.
I do get the
through-
alerts, the administrator
Yeah.
gave me a little lesson, but thank you. I was just curious, like, so this is gonna actually help that whole process.
Yes.
We'll probably get it at the same time as you send it out.
That's happened to me, Councilor.
Thank you.
Somebody calls on something, it's like, right.
Yes.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed? One final piece worth noting, this is Civic Plus that is doing the website redesign for us, so now everything will be nice and integrated. It's gonna be wonderful.
How long will this be to get set up?
It's gonna take some time. Yeah.
Like,
There's a project timeline in the back.
It is,
All right, we are going to hold 8N until after executive session. Next item on the agenda is Council President Edwards' discussion and possible vote to amend Council Resolution 2025-0001 requesting legislative ratification of the Tiverton Home Rule Charter as amended to include reference to House Bill 6111. This is a resolution that would just back up with the actual bill that's up at the State House to approve the charter changes that were voted on at the last election. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion's been made by Councilor Perry. Do I have a second?
second.
All right, seconded by Councilor deMedeiros et al. All those, or any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. Wonderful. Next item is Council President Edwards' discussion and possible vote to approve Council Resolution 2025-0016 requesting legislative action related to the inclusion of manufactured homes on leased land under a long-term lease in excess of 30 years to count towards the 10% affordable housing mandate. This resolution would be in support of Representative Edwards' first bill on the housing that was requested by the town, and it would allow for the inclusion of places like Country View in that calculation. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approve.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Burk. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Now I'd like to make a motion to go into closed executive session, Town Clerk, Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, Personnel Job Performance Evaluation for Deputy Clerk Jean Marie Veegh. Notice given, and, oh, sorry, he did send it to me, so that's wonderful.
Motion to amend the agenda first.
Okay, my apologies. So before I make that motion, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda related to 42465A5, related to the sale of town-owned properties in the industrial park for discussion only. Do I have a second?
Add to the executive session.
Added to the executive session, yep.
So moved.
Second, okay. Do we vote on that and then, okay. And then I'll do that. Okay, all in favor? Okay, so now I'd like to make the motion to go into closed executive session, Town Clerk, Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, Personnel Job Performance Evaluation for Deputy Clerk Jean Marie Veegh, notice given, and to go into closed executive session under Rhode Island General Law 42465A5 related to the sale of town-owned properties in the industrial park, discussion only. Do I have a second?
second.
Motion been made, seconded. Councilor Committo.
Yes.
Councilor Burke.
Yes.
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 Councilor Perry. All right, we are now in closed executive session.